It's not.
All right, well, thank you all for joining us. We are very excited about this opportunity to be here and talk about what we're up to. So thank you for adding us to your agenda. I'm Erica Segal, the Deputy Director of the Children's Museum of Central Oregon, Natalie, Board President. We'll start just with a little bit about who we are. Oh,
What's the name? There you go.
So our mission at the Children's Museum of Central Oregon is to inspire curiosity and creativity through hands-on learning. We envision a Central Oregon community where all children have access to those opportunities, purposeful play, informal learning, opportunities to enrich their development. And to achieve that, we have some goals. The first being to build a large-scale science museum for children aged birth to 11. We envision that this will be like the go-to space for out of the classroom informal science and STEAM learning opportunities. And then secondary, to ensure access to all corners of our region, we will continue the operation of our mobile museum to provide the same types of programming throughout Central Oregon.
In the green shirt on the left.
No.
Love that. So a little bit about our history and where we've been. We are a nonprofit organization that was established in 2015 as a museum without walls. The focus was predominantly on camp programming, summer camps and school break camps, and then joining or hosting community events. In 2020, the board decided to focus on becoming a museum with walls and the project to build a permanent home. Also in 2020, as we all know, programming was paused. And in 2023, we were able to bring back our interactive science and STEAM experiences to many community events and a handful of elementary schools in the region. And then simultaneously, the board completed the process for developing our visitor experience plan for the permanent museum, which was a lengthy process that included listening sessions, input from community members. My favorite part being that our volcanic wonder exhibit, that volcano climber, was actually drawn on a post-it by a child at one of those events. So definitely took a lot of time to consider what the community wanted and what they needed to help develop that plan for our permanent space. And then in 2024, we launched our mobile museum. It was a big year. We purchased some exhibits, we designed and built some more exhibits, we hired staff, and then we launched our new programming and started generating revenue. This being our big milestone of last year, in August and September, we hosted test lab events in the old mill. And that was the launch of our mobile museum. So we just celebrated our first year of programming. We're really excited and proud of all that we were able to accomplish this year. We reached over 8,700 community members. We hosted or joined more than 50 events. We estimate 1,300 square miles covered throughout Bend, Lapine, Madras, Prineville, Redmond, Sister Sun River, and back again. We visited 12 elementary schools, over half of those were Title I, and then 2 early childhood development centers. And then along the way, we've developed these like beautiful community partnerships with other organizations in the same line of work: Bend Parks and Rec Department, Perk County, and Lapine Parks and Rec Department, the HDESD and the Early Learning Hub, Oregon Child Development Coalition, Citizens for Community, more and more, and the Deschutes Public Library. We have been thrilled every month for our day where the Children's Museum goes to the library. And in starting our partnership with you all, we had 3 primary goals. First was to provide accessible programming for our community members, be it geographically or financially. Also to extend our reach into rural Deschutes County. As part of our mission, we do envision this for all the children of Central Oregon, and with the Deschutes Public Library's established branches in so many other communities, it was a really wonderful way for us to get a first touch point in some of those areas. And then just to work in partnership with a beloved local institution. I speak for my family, and it sounds like Natalie's family. We know that the Deschutes Public Library is loved by our community. It is a place where many feel safe, and we were just honored to bring our museum into spaces where people were already so excited about being. Our impact together, we have visited every branch. We are on our second lap, so there are some branches we have been to twice. Together, we have hosted 11 free purposeful play and informal STEAM education programs, be it the monthly branch visits, and then we also joined some summer at the library events. And we estimate over 1,200 participants in the programs that we've hosted together. So we have just been very grateful for this opportunity to join you all in our first year of programming, and it was a huge part of our success this year. So thank you. And then I think just one more thing to mention in general about the mobile museum. We had a tremendous year. And one of the most encouraging things that we learned was just this confirmation from our community for the need of what we are doing, and what our programs fill. It was attendance and having to download a waitlist app unexpectedly at a pop-up. It was the faces of parents and children playing in any of these events that we set up. The informal learning that we get to observe, the play, the joy that we see on a daily basis, and then the number of conversations with the wide-eyed, desperate look of, when is this happening? We need this so badly. It was such an incredible year, and that confirmation has really invigorated us and just got us even more doubled down on our mission to make this permanent space a reality.
I'll also add to that. What we've experienced this year isn't new. So Erica mentioned that we launched actually in 2015. And that version of the Children's Museum was mostly summer camps and some pop-ups around the community. I was not around for that version, but the stories I hear is the camps would sell out in hours, and that was exactly the same feedback that we had received then as well, which is why the board at that point had started to pivot to we need a permanent home. And unfortunately, COVID put a pause on a lot of things, but I'm incredibly encouraged that this has continued to be kind of a through line that the community wants and needs a permanent home for children's space in Central Oregon.
All right, and then transitioning into this Imagine More campaign to bring this space to life.
Yeah, so couple of the, as we've kind of gone through the planning process and talked to the community about what it is that they want in the Children's Museum and why we should build this, there's a few key things that really stand out. First of all, informal play and particularly what you find in a children's museum or children's science museum is really crucial to early childhood development. 95% of science learning actually happens outside of the classroom. So having spaces like this where kids can learn and and develop that curiosity is incredibly important for lifelong learning in those areas. It's sad to kind of have seen the recent math and science scores that have come out for Central Oregon. I think one of the really critical pieces to improving those, we aren't going to take the place of schools for sure, but a critical piece of improving our kind of local proficiency in those topics is really sparking that curiosity and love for learning at a young age. So kids, as they move through school, are excited to learn in those spaces. And then also, I'm sure the folks who have young kids know that there's not many spaces in our area where you can go in the middle of the winter. That's not the trampoline zone or, the gymnastics. We basically have the library, which is an amazing place to be. And we envision that the museum will be a community gathering place where folks can learn and play together, whether you are a 100-year-old grandmother or a 1-year-old baby. Everyone can come together and it's a community space. So that is kind of the key reasons why we want to build this children's museum. If you go to the next slide. To share a bit about the project, we are absolutely still in the phases of kind of honing in on exactly what the details are. So I'll share some of maybe the high level, directional aspects of the museum. So we're thinking it's gonna be about a 15 to 20,000 square foot building. We're gonna have about we're still honing in on that, 6 exhibit spaces. This is the part that I love, that are all gonna be place-based in Central Oregon. So every exhibit room is going to reflect where we live. So Erica mentioned our volcano climber. That's one where every children's museum has a climber. Our climber will be a volcano, and as kids climb through it, they can learn how a lava tube works, and all the different aspects of the volcanoes that kid will leave the building and see outside. We plan to have an outdoor space. One of the things that we are brainstorming here is we'll make use of the natural environment for the outdoor space. So many children's museums have like imaginary play areas. We're envisioning we will have the same, it'll be in our outdoor space, but instead of having the imaginary play kitchen, maybe we'll have an imaginary play food truck. And pine cones are the food, and start to be creative with how we use the natural space around us. We also do want to have classrooms and multi-use rooms for after school programming, summer camps. We also plan to build a makerspace, art studio, science lab kind of combo. And like Erica mentioned, we are in all of our exhibit planning, we're targeting birth to age 11, which is about birth to 5th grade-ish. So our plan for how we're gonna get there feels good. We feel like we've crossed off the first step, but we have spent a few years kind of defining the community needs, access, the feasibility of our business plan, and we've shaped our visitor experience plan, which we've been incredibly proud of. We worked with one of the premier museum planning firms in the US to help us really hone in on what is our vision for this museum and how we want our visitors to experience it. We're currently in the process of, obviously we're here because we're in the process of kind of defining our location, fundraising, and then obviously planning, design, and permitting. And then, of course, we will build the museum and launch. And then a bit about the feasibility. So I mentioned we did do a feasibility study for the museum as a business. The high level takeaway from that, and I'll go into some of the details here, but high level takeaway is we absolutely have the population in this area to support a children's museum. In fact, we have the population to support building a museum much larger than what we actually think we can fundraise for. So that was great news. And so now our job is to hone in on what can we actually fundraise for and how many people will that support. But we expect our annual attendance is going to be probably just south of about 100,000 local visitors. So that's folks who live here. And then of course, we expect that tourists will also be a large chunk of our visitors as well. The rule of thumb in the children's museum industry is you need about 100,000 annual visitors to make the business financially sustainable. So feel really good that we will hit that. We expect we'd have about a 1.5 to 2 million operating budget. About 60% of that is earned, 40% contributed. And we fully expect to have diversified revenue streams. So we will have memberships, we will have ticket sales, we will have programming, whether that's camps, after school programs, gift shop, cafe. So very diversified revenue streams. And then our economic impact to the community. We worked with our feasibility study, identified that we'll have about a $50 million impact over 10 years. So that's both direct and indirect. That is the folks that will employ, the businesses that may pop up around the museum. And does not include additional tourism dollars to come to the area to visit the museum. So we want to open it up to questions. If there are any around our plans and what we trying to do.
Can I ask in
Yeah.
terms of the 60-40
Yeah.
split that you projected for funding? So, what is your anticipated, charge for each kid to come to the museum?
It's a really great question. We have not, we haven't fully like landed on what the ticket price is, but we will participate in, it's called, Play for All, excuse me, Museums for All, Play for All, which would allow folks who may not be able to afford an entrance ticket to the museum to still come and enjoy our museum. We will have annual memberships, and then of course we'll have daily tickets. We expect that the majority of the revenue will actually be from annual memberships, as opposed to daily tickets, which tourists, of course, will have the daily tickets, but annual will likely be the mostly locals.
Yeah, okay, and, who are your 5 biggest contributors at this point to your fundraising effort?
We have like a kind of a random assortment. We have multiple foundations, who are supporting us today for our annual fundraising, who have almost all said that they will support a capital campaign. Most of them want to get involved once we're shovel ready, or towards the end of the campaign. And then we have several individual donors who are starting to step up for this first phase of our fundraising. We also, we've gone to the state, we have applied for capital construction funds via the state. And we have not received them. We will continue to apply for those. The feedback we've gotten from our representatives have been like, it's much easier for the state to fund a project like this once we are shovel ready, or once we're kind of on the path or down the path. So I think, I feel I have now gone to the State House twice, to discuss this with our representatives. I actually feel really great about it, from the sense that we have bipartisan support. All of our local representatives support this. They've signed letters of support. From the first time to the second time that we went, everyone that we talked to had remembered us from the previous year, and was really excited about the progress we had made from one year to the next. So I think that's good news. And I think as we get further down the road, state funding will be easier.
Okay,
What's the amount you need to raise?
We are still honing in on that, but we think it's about 15 to 20.
Okay.
If we wanted to build the complete building and experience that we wanted, and money was not a thing, it's probably a $30 million campaign, but I don't think we can support that locally, so.
Where are you on your timeline as far as being shovel ready, fundraising efforts and big picture?
Yeah, so at this point, it's fundraising that's stopping us. So we have, we are looking to kind of solidify our location. And we have our museum planning firm kind of already lined up. We have an architectural firm already lined up. And so right now it's like the second we feel like we have the funds ready. That's when we can press go.
and
Do you
so
have
of that.
Been set out for you?
Oh,
Excuse me.
sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead, Ann.
timeline set out for when you're hoping to get to certain milestones?
Sorry, what was the first part of that? Oh, a timeline. Yeah, I mean, we would, so, the building, the long pole is actually designing the inside of the museum and not the outside. So that's probably about an 18-month to 2-year process. So even if we started that today, 18-month to 2-year process from starting design to actually having, things to put in a building. And so even if we started today, we're at, the end of 2027. So I do think fundraising will be out of long pole. So we're probably looking closer to 2028, 2029, 2030.
Okay.
For the first few phases, though, our timeline is much quicker. We're
Yes.
hopeful to make a site selection and to really make movement in the capital campaign fundraising efforts.
You guys have done a great job of having visibility with no site and no roof over your head. It's
Yeah.
really impressive and it speaks to the passion that you have for what you're trying to do, which is great. Yeah. And so of that 15 to 20 million, where are you guys at in your fundraising?
We're less than 2 million.
Okay. And I don't ask who your major contributors are to be intrusive. I think that what you do aligns so much with what we provide
Mhm.
and you know, as a partner to the library, you guys have been someone on the top of our minds for a long time. But then it just comes down to, with all nonprofits, is the financial feasibility of it and looking at how, yeah, who your partners are other than like the library in making that happen too. I think it's important, like, information for us to have in our decision-making process too. Yeah.
And are you you're looking for exact foundations, people?
I mean, when I asked you, it felt like you didn't want to share that, and that's fair if that feels really proprietary, but I think it's useful information for us as a board, just looking at a partner to understand how financially feasible it is. That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. I just want to be respectful of some of the folks
And I
that.
do understand.
And we have, all of our fundraisers have signed NDA, so we would need to make sure that we can.
Yeah, no, I probably want to be respectful. of
Yeah.
that. Yes,
And that does. make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. but I absolutely hear your
Yeah.
point, and it's an excellent one. And so maybe we could take that offline.
Yeah.
I have kind of this might be a naive question, but I'm curious if have you talked to OMSI about doing some sort of like satellite partnership?
It's a good question. You know, we had connected with OMSI, and actually I had a previous board president had, probably when we started thinking about this, and they provided some guidance on how to think about programming and exhibits and how to just think about starting building a museum. But we haven't reconnected with them, so that's actually, it's an excellent.
We have on a program level, and I think just from their current operations and programs, they also offer mobile museum services throughout the region of all of Oregon. So I don't know that they have the capacity to take on a satellite location, but we have not asked, frankly, and it would be a really interesting conversation.
Yeah, just from like
Yeah.
even the perspective of cost sharing,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Like, buying in bulk for
Yeah.
similar material that it just
Yeah.
seemed like something.
And their name recognition. They're so well known and respected for what they do.
But as Michelle said, you've also done a lot to get your name recognition here in Central Oregon, which is great too. And then are there specific locations that you're kind of dreaming would be great? Like where are you at in that part? Where do you want it to go?
Yeah, well, we're here because, you know, I feel similar to you that like, I think the partnership between the library and what we offer is a really beautiful one. I can share, you know, how we've thought about location. I think there's several things that are important, of course, parking. Just because of the number of folks that we expect to be visiting the museum, and we you know, expect a lot of them will have small children, so just making sure that that feels easy. There are locations that we have decided against because of that. Easy to get to, so, you know, main roads. We want, you know, Erica spoke a lot about access for all of Central Oregon, so, you know, ensuring that wherever we go is central to to not just Bend, but, you know, all the other surrounding communities, because they're, you know, equally as important. But we do want to be in Bend because of, this is where the population center is and will be critical to our sustainability long term. Those are kind of the two main things we've thought about with respect to location.
What do you envision the after-school programming to look like?
Yeah, do you want us to talk about programming?
Sure, I mean, we currently employ former educators, so we have like a deep knowledge and understanding of learning standards, so our whole place-based is where we begin our inspiration, but then we also work to incorporate learning standards to support that school system, make sure that what we are providing is aligned to what students are expected to learn in school. I mean, I think we have dreams of what it could look like. We have not gotten to that point. We are working on a curriculum development program for our mobile museum where we go into schools to provide engineering opportunities, going through the full design process, including testing and iterating a design. So we haven't had the chance to dream up what an after-school program might exactly look like, but we have the science, the STEAM, and the connection to education is like gonna be of the utmost importance when we get to that point.
Have you guys talked to Ben Parks and Rec at all
Yeah.
about partnering with them
Mhm.
in relation to that? Yeah.
We do actually, we provide programs for their camps on conference days. So they have like a special camp that they do when the schools are closed for conference dates. And we go to 3 different schools each of
Yeah.
those times the schools are shut.
Yeah.
In terms of programming, though, we do want to fill the no school days, summer, summer camps, after school. We actually had toyed with, do we even have a preschool as part of the museum?
Yeah.
I think we have a lot to bite off before we even think about that, but, supporting with childcare and the kind of, the shortfall we have in terms of childcare, it will be absolutely part of what we will do at the museum.
And have you had any communication with the Ben Science Station, and how do where do you find your niche versus their niche?
Yeah, it's a great question. We have chatted with the Ben Science Station. We do have some of the same supporters. I think that their niche is mostly older kids. I think they start at 4th grade, I want to say, their programming for the most part. And so we see our space is, we'll have some overlap in the older years, but our space is much more focused towards the younger years that they're not necessarily serving.
Okay, great, thank you.
They're great though. I love when my daughter goes there for a field trip.
Yeah, no, they.
She raised my hand to volunteer.
Any other questions?
I have one other question. Initially, there was some talk about looking at the location that we have at Stevens Ranch. And then it's my understanding, so correct me if I'm wrong, that then there was another location that you guys identified as to where you would be building, and now you're back here. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision process? What didn't feel aligned to you initially? And then, yeah.
I will say, we still have that other location as a option. We have a reservation on it. We are thinking.
Where is that? I think you could speak to it.
Yeah, it's on 97 across from Trader Joe's.
Okay.
We're super transparently, we're just thinking about budget, and what, as we started dreaming about this museum, and what we could build, and then when we actually got into the feasibility of what we think we can fundraise in Central Oregon, and the kind of the broader economic environment, we've received a lot of feedback around, folks pulling back on funding because of lack of federal funding and things like that. So we're trying to be really thoughtful about what the future looks like. And so we have revised our budget. And so that's where, we're thinking maybe we need less land. So that's really what's playing into that decision.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
And would that other piece of property involve purchase of that property?
So this conversation is about the Stevens Ranch spot, not the one over by Costco. just so I'm on the
Yes.
same page.
I know, I was
Yeah,
late,
just
so I don't know
follow
where you
step
guys
by step.
started.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just so you know, on our end, we have a lot of research to do about what our possibilities are for the board. Be able to make decisions. I have asked Greg Holcomb, who we'll be talking to in a minute, to help out with that. And I think that'll be really helpful for the board to be able to come back with options for you so you can really have some meaningful discussions about what we could do. But I think, based on this meeting and other conversations that we all feel that there's a really good synergy there, and we definitely want to keep looking at the possibilities there.
And apart from being a board member, just as a parent of a 5-year-old, I really appreciate what you're trying to bring, and I agree, it would be a huge asset to our community. I would like to see it succeed, for sure.
For sure, yeah, for sure, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
for all the
being
questions.
here.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming in and providing us with this information, and thanks for all the hard work you're doing for our community.
Yeah, thank you.
I think
Likewise.
clearly the demand is there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for your time. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Good to meet you both.
Yes.
Okay. Next up is, we have a pretty full agenda today, is Greg, with his monthly report.
Well, hello, everyone. Zooming in today with my recovery as Ann is.
Exactly.
Yes, icing up and doing all the good things. So, as you saw in the report, it was fairly straightforward. Not a lot of changes as I'd anticipated with being in this position. But I can say, is just looking at how the overall program is going and what's going on, from a schedule standpoint, Central Library continues right on schedule. Kirby is making really good progress as they push to the final, construction ends at the end of this year, and then we move into the move-in phase with all of the FF&E beginning in early January. And all of our vendors for shelving, furniture, artwork, etc., are really primed and ready to go. We pushed early on to buy materials early, get them produced, assembled, fabricated. A lot of stuff is sitting in warehouses and being received here over the next 3 months so that they're all ready to go. So we're really excited about how that progress has gone and continues. The planning efforts that are going forward right now, there's a lot of effort that's been put forth in by the district and our team to really lay out how do we get everybody organized and set up and ready to execute on this, execute on the moves, on getting everybody repositioned, because as we've talked about, it really affects multiple locations, from the closing of East Bend, which is going to be commencing next month in November, and all of its assets, whether it's the collection or all of the facility stuff, and then getting ready to turn that property back over to the landlord. So that is all set up, ready to go. The preparations of moving out of downtown Bend, out of the administration building, have also been very productive. I know there's a lot of effort that's gone forth on all of those parts. And so we feel really comfortable about that, that from an overall schedule standpoint, we're tracking to the master development schedule, not seeing any surprises or concerns at this point. And so that's moving right along. The other main project that's underway right now, of course, is downtown Bend. That's in a early pre-construction phase of wrapping up our building permits, which are just about ready to be approved. They had one last item the architect did to resolve with the planning department regarding a couple of light fixtures, and we'll be permit ready to pull the permits. And then we're working through the updated designs that we talked about back in August, and Miller Hall has made really good progress. We expect to see those coming out this month and moving forward. Kirby is doing a lot of preparatory work in order to be ready to really hit the ground running come next March, April, as we are shutting down downtown Bend and starting to move things out of there over to Central, and them starting to move in and get prepared to go full speed ahead on that. So again, overall schedule is in really good condition. The budget, there was only one little minor change on the budget. You may have noticed it was some elevator work that was completed at downtown Bend. We did this with Otis Elevator, who maintains the elevators, in advance of the construction activity. One, because it benefits the usage right now and was done part of their maintenance contract with the district. And we got that done. But that was really the only change that occurred since the last budget update. Not seeing anything else. We'll continue to, of course, monitor and really evaluate where we're going with everything on the budget. As we march through construction on Central, so we've always talked about, that's always the big risk exposure area for potential costs and anything coming up from that, as well as wrapping up our FF&E planning and procurement for Central. So I think that's all moving right along. Our arbitrage report is underway, that's the evaluation of our investments and earnings and making sure that we're in compliance with that. And that's another one that every year at this time we'll receive that report, and I'll work with Robert to really look at that, make sure we've properly planned for any tax liabilities that the district may have, and make sure that our planned usages of investment earnings and stuff is still in compliance and as we've currently forecasted. Not expecting anything or any surprises there, but that's moving along. One of the things that doing right now with Brown & Brown, who's the district's insurance agent, is just taking another evaluation of all of our insurance policies. So as we start to transition through these different uses of the buildings, where Central comes online and we're shutting down East Bend and we're shutting down downtown, but then we're going to bring downtown online for construction this next year. We're basically going back and doing an audit of all the policies we have in place, their timelines relative to our development schedule, and do we have all of the proper coverages. One of the things we put in place this past year was a post-construction builder's risk policy that allowed us to cover changes when we went back into a property like Redmond, Sun River, when we did the sewer repairs and those things, to make sure that we had adequate insurance coverage. And so Brown's looking at that of how do we enroll Central into that as those policies are changing. So that's happening here this quarter, to be ready to really look at what's happening in January, when the builder's risk policy will end for Central and permanent property insurance will start to come in. And so Robert is also involved very extensively with that, but it's just another thing to kind of get it prepared so that we're not having to think about that when we're trying to move all the staff and people into the building, get it ready for occupancy and use. From a design construction standpoint on Central, no more design. It's all about construction, building, and getting things executed and completed. As I said, I think all of our vendors are on top of those things. We've not had, you always have a few minor things about availability of materials and making some minor adjustments of things like that, and are things coming in. But like with our furniture, to date, we've not had anything extensive. I think we had to redo 6 ottomans so far out of, almost $2 million worth of furniture. So the availability within the market and the impacts of what goes on out there in the market. And, we always talked about the tariffs and those kinds of things. We're not seeing any impacts coming up. Vendors are not expressing any concerns about those at this point. And we're having regular conversations with them. So it's truly all about execution of the work at this point on Central. Really on downtown Bend, as I mentioned, the only design elements that are going on is the revisions that we're doing to the first floor and second floor and the shelving to really capture our lessons learned, make the adjustments, and really get that library properly set up. And it's a really good time for us to do that now in advance of construction. So, I think those are probably the highlights of this month. I know that I'd probably say open it up for any questions that you guys might have.
Does anybody have questions of Greg?
No questions?
I think that's good news.
Yes, it is.
Based on where we are in the project, for sure. This end part was the part, it's kind of like financial forecasting, where as you get further out, the forecasts become a little more tenuous, but all the things that, all the advanced work that you've done in pre-ordering and all those sorts of things, you've really done a great job anticipating changes and getting stuff in early, and I think that saved us a lot of money.
I 100% agree with you. It definitely is benefiting the team and their execution out there right now. It's always a really tough part of the project, this last big push. But they're not scrambling for a lot of missing parts. They have a few, but not a lot.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's wonderful news.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, well.
Mine was quick this month.
Huh?
Said mine was quick this month.
Well, exactly. Well,
Recover.
my new knee says hi to your new knee, and
Yes.
happy
Likewise.
healing.
All righty. I'll let you guys move on then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next up is our decision on the coffee shop lease for the Central Library. Todd, do you want to introduce this?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things, just see, by ORS statute, we actually, instead of just leasing a space, we actually have to follow some of the steps in here, declaring a surplus space that we do not need. Also attached to this is the lease agreement that we have. We have adjusted one piece of this. It's not substantial, but it's adding in a shorter out clause for both organizations. But otherwise, all the financial conditions are the same in here. And our real goal here is to have it be successful for us. And to bring in some income for us, but also really fulfill that need that came up in all the discussions we had with the public about them wanting to have a cafe in the new building. So we're pretty excited about this. This has been a lot of work, especially for Greg, getting negotiating with the coffee vendor and our attorneys, and we're pretty excited to get to this point because it's we've just put in the drywall in that area, and it's starting to look like it's getting ready for somebody to come in there. So I'll open up to any questions you have in here, and you'll also notice Exhibit A in here that gives you a sense of where that is in the main entrance way of the library.
Remind me again that there had just been one applicant for this lease.
Yeah, so we through our real estate agents, we actually went and we targeted coffee vendors around the area. and that was about a year or so ago. Offering up their ability to express interest in this, and Thump was the one that was interested in that. Nobody else was either ready for it at this time or felt that they had the ability to expand out into the library.
I have a question. Did you ever? No. Just because this financial model is new to me, so as I'm looking through this, is the idea that they anticipate that sales will increase in the subsequent years, and that's why the base rent deducted portion goes to
Yes.
becomes more? Is that kind of why that
Yes.
direction goes?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's kind of like giving them, designed in to give them a chance to build up their clientele and especially, and they're very clear about that, in a new space where people aren't familiar with that.
Yeah.
Having a library.
Yeah.
And that was something that we wanted to support as well, because again, we want them to be successful.
Yes.
We don't want them to go broke in the first 3 months and then have an empty space, so. Yeah, the goal is that, as people get used to it and their clientele starts growing, then that starts impacting,
Okay.
and gives them time to grow.
And did you include anything about providing coffee to the staff?
No, but, all of the staff asked that
love
same
it.
question.
I mean, I actually, no, I'm not trying to be cheeky. I think it's
Yeah.
a reasonable thing, just in terms of like the economics of.
Or
You-
just a discount.
A discount or something.
Like a staff library discount.
They haven't, but that might be something that they might be interested in, because they could.
Are there, what is the word, not refreshments, but is there like coffee provided to employees ever, like in like a normal library, do you have?
Break room?
in a
Yeah,
break
in
room?
a break room, yeah, we have like coffee or, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Yes. No, yes.
Just level it up a little bit, I guess.
Yes.
Well, I've got to say that we've been involved in these facility planning efforts for now well over 10 years from when we first started. And the number one thing that people asked for years ago was coffee in the library. So this feels like a huge groundbreaking move. And I think it's also a really great thing for the neighborhoods around there. I think it's going to be a really popular space with people that need a place to meet on the east side. So I bet as soon as people know that this is there, it is going to be a huge draw, and a huge draw maybe for people who haven't been in a library for quite a while. So I think it's going to have multiple benefits.
I should add that, early in the design process, that the board's request was to build this in to the building. So this is, you're seeing, this isn't our first shot at like, hey, guess what? We have an idea. This has been the result of a couple of years of work for us to get to this point. So, yeah.
We just wanted to clarify, so the library does not in its budget pay for coffee for staff,
No.
but we have like a kitty that people put money into, like,
Yes.
right? And then we buy, so
Thank you.
it is there, but it's not part of our library budget.
I see.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that would be unreasonable as someone
Yeah.
who thinks coffee is important to productivity, but I was mostly curious.
One thing I did not see was a minimum number of hours that they would be open.
They have wanted to track our hours as much as possible,
Okay.
except for in the evening, so like they
Okay,
probably
sure.
would close by 5 or but. They do the majority of their business usually between like 6 and 9.
Yeah.
So this is hard on them a little bit that we're opening at 9, but I think we're gonna get good traffic between 9 and like 10.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so.
And then I think you mentioned it last month, the library will pay for the, will, I don't know, reimburse the bond funds for this space, is that true?
No,
No?
no,
Oh, okay.
no, it's still we still own it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if there were any,
Oh, no, that was when we were looking at leasing.
that's
leasing
right,
other
that was
property.
that, okay,
Yes. Mhm.
got it.
I love how you structured the lease to give them that ramp up time, but if they ramp up super quickly, you're still compensated that 3,500. That was a smart way to do it. Do you feel like the security deposit is sufficient of 3,500?
Yes, I mean, that really for us, that what will happen, I should say something about what it will look like there. Basically, we have the space, they will just need to basically bring in their equipment and go. And they've already identified the type of equipment they would need, so it's not, other than setting up the walls and the counter space for them, there's not a lot of investment from the library as far as setting it up. So we didn't feel like we needed a large security deposit because there's not much.
And how does it work from an insurance perspective? Like if there was like a leak or something that happened, like, do we have special insurance that covers that kind of tenancy? Or is that a Greg Holcomb?
I was just about to, it's me looking at. I mean, Greg,
No, there is within the lease, it outlines what insurance the tenant has to maintain, what
Mhm.
insurance the landlord maintains, and there's language in there that talks about those types of issues. You know, that was something that they brought up as well. So
And
it
section
is
7.
about who's the responsible party
Mhm.
as to which insurance covers. The library does have an overriding insurance coverage of their building. And it's if the tenant causes a problem, then their insurance would cover that cost of repairs.
Yeah,
But yeah, section 7 covers damage and restoration, section 8 covers insurance.
and so they have a $2 million policy as the tenant for any damage that might happen. Okay, thank you.
And then I'm just curious, what does this mean operationally to have coffee brought into the library? Is that like, what does that mean in real life?
Well,
Super cool, but like for real, and spills or
oh,
messes or like people having to police, like, well,
So-
no drinks up here. I
so
don't-
we have allowed people to bring in drinks
Oh, all right,
for
okay.
over 20 years.
Okay.
So yes,
Drink.
and then I forgot, I'm gonna make up a date, because it could have been 10 years ago, it could have been 5 years ago, that we started allowing food as well. And it could have been 4 years ago.
About 4 years ago.
So it's not like normal.
No, I mean,
Yes.
we had the sign, remember at the top of the stairs?
Oh, yeah, we do have to sign those, so, oh, no.
It's always something that we're monitoring,
Yeah.
and Robert's not here today, but I do know that, with the Redmond Library, more activity, there's a need for more, spot theming, especially in the carpet and some of the furniture. But that's something that is built into his general fund, his other facilities too.
Yeah.
And then we're constantly monitoring too for just pests and things, and something that we're always looking at, so.
Kind of
It's
the
never
big-
one and done.
Yeah, one of the big arguments against it was, well, we don't want them to get food on the books.
Okay.
And completely ignoring the fact that.
in people's homes.
Right, they're getting things on the books. They're using bacon as bookmarks and things like.
So we do have a number of years' experience with that, so that concern.
It's no big check.
But that's a big piece that we discussed with Robert about, and he felt confident that he had enough, he could get the cleaning schedule. So that we would be in good shape going forward with that.
It's also a good customer service thing too. I mean, you don't want
Yeah,
staff running around like.
exactly.
Yeah, well, the first time somebody orders an Uber Eats, I might be thinking different,
And was there any discussion to them being open special hours for like events that are happening in the evening at the library or anything like that?
I think that
Just
would be
kind of-
kind of a one-off that
Yeah.
we discuss with
Yeah.
them. he is, he's very good to his staff. That's another reason why we really like them.
Yeah.
They pay very well
That's good.
and take good care of them. And so they have such a system with their hours and stuff, I think, but they do special events. They do music at 2 of their locations
cool.
after hours, so, and their staff stays sometimes, so I think it could happen. Yeah.
Very cool.
Well, given all of that discussion, is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
I move to adopt resolution 25.
Do I hear a second?
I second the motion.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And Todd, I can come down and sign that resolution later this week.
Oh, okay, yeah, well,
Come to you.
yeah.
Well,
we'll
no,
figure it out.
I can come down and sign it.
Okay.
Okay, next up is the Central Library Art.
Okay, well, you're very lucky. I have just flown in an expert on art, who's just arrived from the airport. So Chantal can tell us a little bit about what we have here.
I sat next to a baby for 6 hours screaming.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. Well, she was cute. So the art, so Sarah C. Stream is a Native American artist who is Haniku, and so she's part of the tribe over closest to Coos Bay. And she is the person that we've selected to do the paintings above the cafe. So 2 very prominent walls, like when you walk in, it's kind of, you look directly at it from the east side. And then when you're on the 2nd and 3rd floor, you're looking at, the walls go like this and then this, you're just staring directly at it. So we took some time, about a year, to really make sure that we found someone that we felt would be a good representative of beautiful art from Oregon and a Native woman, etc. So I just met with her and to see, the paintings that she's working on, her proposal, and we just approved it on Friday. So we're excited to have her be this prominent artist, kind of adjacent to John Verday. She and John Verday met back in April and May, and they've been working together to kind of talk about how there could be some communicating between the 2 pieces. So that's really been wonderful too. Cool. So, we are getting ready to, we hope that Todd can sign the contract so that we can begin this process. We would like for it to be installed the first weekend in April, which means we need to get her going within the next few weeks to start. So before you is, I believe, was it the contract with the summary of?
Signing authority.
It's an exhibit,
And then just like a.
you got a
general
proposal
framework
and
of the
exhibits,
art.
it's not a contract.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Chantal, I don't know that everybody on the board is familiar with what the art committee has been doing.
Oh.
If you
yeah.
could describe a little bit about the extensive work that's gone into that effort, I think that's important for everybody to know.
Sure, yes, I'm sorry. So, gosh, it's been about 3.5 years now. We put together an art committee with representatives from every city throughout Deschutes County. And the majority of the representatives are artists themselves or have been very involved in art at like a national level or at least statewide level. So we feel like we have a really qualified team working with us. 2 co-chairs are Jason Graham, who's also known as Mosley Wada, and then Kate O'Hagan, who used to be the marketing director for Portland Art Museum, and then she ran the Regional Arts Council here locally. So even our two co-chairs are very well steeped in the arts. And we went out we did a call through a program called Cafe, which is a national program. And we said anything west of the Mississippi, any of the states west of the Mississippi would have priority, especially in the Northwest. So we wanted to broaden it beyond the Northwest, just in case there were little gems out there. But primarily we have been selecting Oregon, Washington artists. And a lot of Bend and Sisters and some river artists as well. So the process is that everyone, no matter who they are, genre day to someone just starting out, they all need to go through this process, the cafe process. And then Kate, Jason, and I go through and we select who we believe are the top, let's say 30 in different areas like sculpture, acrylic paint, etc. And then we pass that on to the overall committee, who then dwindles that down to maybe our top 5 in each area. So that's what we've been working on right now. And the people who kind of floated to the top are the ones that we are pursuing for the art. We want to have art in all of our libraries. Eventually, some of it could actually rotate, but it has to make sense. So we need to think this through, because we have to have the right space, the right lighting for these pieces, and we don't want to have to redo everything every time we move art.
Very cool.
Yeah, I just applaud you for the thoroughness of the work and the expertise that you brought in to make sure that this is a fair process and also results in some really quality pieces, because these are really an investment for years to come that people are going to get to enjoy. And for a lot of the people that live in the region that don't get to travel as much, including a lot of our kids, it may be some of their first exposure to some really breathtaking art, and might inspire them to go on to create art themselves. So the people that you've been selecting have just been outstanding, and it's a great process. So thank you.
Yeah, and one other thing, we've been really mindful of diversity in many ways. So diversity in the genres that we're selecting, as well as who we're selecting, all ages, different backgrounds, different genders, and just trying to really have a good sampling of this, a very robust, diverse, collection. So
Thank you for doing that.
yeah.
Okay. Any questions for Chantal? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
All right, let's see, I move to authorize the library director with signing authority up to $185,000 for the Central Library's artwork contract and change orders related to Sarah Seastrings art. Seastrings art.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimous. Okay, now this is the part of the meeting that we used to devote an entire meeting to with almost nothing else on the agenda. This is a big step in our annual work. Todd's report on compliance with the results policies that we set each year. So Todd, I will let you take it away.
Thank you. A couple of things. You have my report. I'm not going to go through it step by step, but I did want to walk through the statistics. It won't take that long. But as always, statistics they show you something, but you can interpret it in many different ways. And I'm not here to interpret it for you, but I'm here to help ways to take a look at it. Just a reminder that we cover from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, so our fiscal year. Sorry, there we go. Just starting, one of the things we talked about at the board last year when I did this was wanting to see a little more comparison from year to year. And so I was all excited. I talked to staff about that, and I quickly realized that's almost impossible right now because we've been shutting down buildings, opening buildings. So I think I tried in the narrative parts, whenever I put a number in there, I tried to give you some sense of like what happened the year before. A really good example is summer with the library, where if I just left that number, you'd have no idea what that meant. But it was actually a significant drop in our usage, and actually that's one that we're just looking at what did we do differently that changed that. Our concern level is not so high on that one because we've been very high in the past. It's more of what we know. We made some tweaks during this year, and we did some things differently. What can we do to bring that back up? So next year will be a really interesting one to see where that goes. But the district circulation, I just want to highlight, this is actually very impressive. It's not that big a change, but the fact that the Redmond Library was basically closed for 6 months. It was in a temporary space that didn't get as much usage, and part of that year was bringing on Sun River as well. So there were a couple of libraries that were shut down partially. So it's very encouraging to see that number going up. And a big piece of that was the 6 months, or actually it was only 5 months of Redmond being open really helped push numbers up, which is a great sign for us as we move into next year. When we start the central library, I'll probably show up one after that. Also great to see that our attendance is rising slightly. And again, with all of those constraints, it seems like a minor thing, but it's really impressive that it's here. I actually expected to be coming in here and telling you why it's lower. Attendance by branch is also, you can see Redmond is just starting to peak up, and that is should not be a surprise. Also, East Bend is starting to wind down. A couple of things happening there. One, because we're winding down services, but also once Costco moved, it really impacted that building. Which is another great reason that we are building a building on the east side that's not dependent on Costco traffic. So let's look in here. Annual new cards is actually something that's been rising for the last few years. And that's just impressive. Anytime you see a peak number, that you could also look at that as that's also the most we've done in a year in our 102-year history. Well, no, 105-year history.
Yeah.
Sorry. I always throw this one in. It doesn't change a lot, but it's just interesting. It doesn't tell you much about what we do other than the fact that 66%, 67% of people are what they do at the library is involves reading. Watching is just a low one. It's one that's been going down based on the usage of DVDs has been going down. We do have some digital that people can watch through Canopy, but it's not that significant compared to everything else. And then the other interesting one is just, you'll see the rise in audiobooks that's happened across the country, and it really reflects here as well. The read breakdown is why, so Wiley pulls together all these statistics, and he always wants to let me know, take that with a grain of salt. The digital magazines, if you go into Libby and you order a magazine, it'll start They'll check it out to you every month. And so some of that is maybe, like, you may be getting a magazine, like you looked at Time once, and now all of a sudden you've checked it out 12 times. But the other piece is the ebooks, that has been growing steadily, and actually we're seeing that the printed books have been going up as well. So just some, again, impressive rises when you consider the shutdowns we've been having.
Do you think the printed book increase is because the collection increased with the opening of Redmond?
You know, I don't know. Anything I say would be made up. Just because we don't have that much of a year of Redmond being open, so it's hard to say. I would love to say, if you ask me again next year, that we've been doing a lot of work on merchandising and displays. You see it in all of our new buildings, where we really are trying to entice people with face-out materials, and we know that's having an impact. We know Wayfinder is having an impact. It is increasing. It will be, and I won't give away, we're gonna have Emily come and talk about collection development in December. But you'll see that it's having a big impact when you compare to the other. That's another one that's hard for us to compare as well. Because the only consistent building we've had is Downtown Bend. And Downtown Bend has Wayfinder, but it has a poor version of
Wayfinder Light.
Yeah,
It's traditional shelving.
Yeah.
it's traditional shelving, the signage isn't as robust as we'd like to see. So it'll be interesting to track that as we move forward. District viewing by format, we talked a little bit about how that was going down, but interestingly,
These went up.
I will say that's the Redmond effect. That is definitely people coming in and using that building. The listen breakdown, we no longer have music CDs, so that went away in 2021. And we no longer really have music downloads. We have some access, but not a lot. But the audiobooks obviously is the one that's just really shot up. And I think we've talked about it before, but be aware, we have been watching that trend. Books on CD is very low. Many publishers no longer, we don't have access to a lot because they aren't making them anymore. And that collection is going away. As we open our new buildings, we're not having a collection. As we shut down this building, that'll kind of be the last hurrah for books on CD. And I just wanted to prepare you because it's an emotional issue for a lot of people, and it's always hard for us when we shut down formats. It was hard when we did music CDs. It was very hard when we did VHS. But at some point, it's hard for us to keep supporting dying formats. District circulation by age genre. This is one that I would put down in the interesting category right now. I'm not sure we can pull a lot of trends based on how things have changed over the years. One piece that we've really been watching over the years is our teen collection, because it has just gone down over the years. And that's something we're really tracking, trying to see if that has changes with our new buildings. So it's just one to keep an eye on.
Todd, can I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
So is that teen collection or teen patron?
It's the genre.
Collection.
Yeah, it's not, yeah, so teens can be, I think they could be reading adult materials, kids materials.
But that is something from the teen genre collection.
Yes. Yeah, which is a great question because what this is not telling you is that teens don't read. They may be reading in different areas. Okay, and this is the one that has big caveats. So I like to put the state comparisons in. But it's a really weird one to look at because it's a year behind. And there's two caveats. I made the executive decision, I took out a library. And that was, what was the name of that? Cedar Mills.
Peter Mills.
They are a small library in the Portland metro area that we can't figure out. For some reason, they're up here every year. And it just threw off the whole comparison. They're in a really interesting spot. They're surrounded by 3 other towns where they have a lot of people from outside of their city that use their library, and it really inflates their numbers. And it just finally just decided, you know, it's just not a really good comparison for us. And you will see later on in programming statistics, I don't include Multnomah because they have stopped reporting statistics. So everybody is supposed to be reporting all these statistics to the state library, and then they compile them, and it takes a year for them to finish that report. So all of these numbers are from 23-24, and that is definitely, remember during that year, we had Sun River shut down, we had partial shutdowns in Lapine and Sisters, and we had Redmond in a temporary space as well.
What is
So-
the first refer to in that statement, first circulations?
Oh, okay, good.
I was just looking it up.
Thank you. That means when you check out a book, if it doesn't include if you renew it.
I see.
Yes.
I see.
And we purposely did that because a number of years ago, Multnomah County started a thing where they just automatically, if your book was overdue, they'd automatically renew it, which really inflated their numbers.
Yeah.
And we felt like it doesn't give you much information if it took me 6 weeks to read the book or 2 weeks. Is more important that I check out the book.
It just doesn't show actual activity, show it in the library, because your first time you check something out, you have to do it in the building.
And also, we felt like that was an important one for us. That's how we report all water car statistics. So when I showed you the first circulation numbers, those are first circulations. It also helps us compare with digital, because digital, it doesn't have renewals, so they basically check it out again. Actually, that kind of tells you the digital could be inflated a little bit, because you may check it out if nobody is holding it. Kind of interesting, some libraries that are interesting for us to watch is Jackson County Library. And this will be a fun one to watch over the years. Jackson County was Southern Oregon, Medford, Ashland, and they have about 17 branches, very similar population size overall. And for years, they were, where was it? You call it a privatized library, where they contracted out to a company to run their facilities. And so they didn't have very good numbers. So it's kind of exciting. They took a lot of inspiration from this board and the fact that they had a district measure passed and shifted about 3 or 4 years ago into their own entity, very similar to ours. So it's kind of nice. It's nice to have a library of similar size to compare to, and still fun. I had that, Jennifer, our HR manager, sent me this thing and said, hey, look at this neat thing they do for weather closures. And I looked at it, I said, I think they called me 2 years ago and asked what we did, and I sent them what we had, and now you're sending it back to me. Like all other libraries, we like to steal from each other, so. Other interesting ones for us is Eugene, somewhat similar population size. Multnomah is interesting just, in fact, that they're the largest library in the city and one of the highest circulating libraries in the country. And Corvallis is also a good similarity to us. It'll be interesting to see, unfortunately, the only unfortunate part of this is. There's not a lot you can do with this, like, oh, here's what the world was like 2 years ago. I do know some things, like Eugene has been cutting services. Salem has cut services. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple of years. Digital audiobook and ebook circulation per capita. We have a very impressive rate for the rest of the state. For a number of years, we were the highest. Because we really invested highly in there. About 4 or 5 years ago, Multnomah basically doubled their tax base through a bond measure or through a measure. And rightfully, they have invested heavily there. So, but it's actually good to know. I was just out at a speaking event with the Newcomers Club, and I had a comment from somebody like, well, you have the worst, digital collection there is. And it's like, well, actually, no, but it's when you hear like, oh, I can't get a book because it's not available. It is something we would love to have a stronger collection, but they're very expensive. But we are proud of the fact that about 70% of the items that are available digitally are available. There's no waiting list for them. And then the very big bestsellers, just like our physical books, there's always a challenge there. Adult program attendance per capita. I'm not even sure how we managed this because this was during those shutdowns. We did a lot of off-site events during that time. So it's very impressive that we are up there. And again, you'll notice Multnomah disappeared.
But we always were we were pretty competitive with Multnomah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one because teen attendance was one that we used to always be the highest in the state. That definitely was harmed by shutting down libraries, but it's very interesting to see we have a new competitor, Jackson County. So I'm proud of them for getting to that point, and it's nice to have somebody to start pushing us. So the children's program attendance, that definitely took a hit in this time period because like our adult programs, we can go out to like in Redmond.
That's the Johnson Center.
Well,
Or
For adult
the
programs.
church.
for adult programs that
Yeah.
I forgot the name of that church.
Oh.
But anyway, there's some cool places we can go where we get people to come. Moving story times to an offsite place does not help that attendance as well. So anyway, one to watch. I'm not really concerned about that based on we're opening buildings that have much more space for us to have more programs, and we'll see where those go. Oh, and that was it. So there is one I took out from last year. We used to have a statistic on how people entered us through the web, which Wiley pointed out to me. That's a statistic that nobody uses anymore. To track things, I have a better one and we'll develop that for next year. So I just wanted to put those in there just to kind of give you a sense of where we are. One thing that I think is always going to be a good discussion for the board, especially when we get to December and talk about results and we're setting those priorities we've been talking about, is having a follow-up discussion about if we're doing that, what measurements would you like to see? Because really, that's going to be an important piece. It's a kind of a piece that's been missing with the results along. We've never had one. We tried in the past to say like, what measurement do you want? I think the discussion we had at the last work session where we were talking about coming back to the board about levels of priority so that you have something to give input on is going to help us start seeing what ways could we measure so that you have better information. And then as far as the next piece goes is just my kind of analysis, a quick analysis of some of the things, effort we've done towards these results. I did want to open that up to any questions about any of these, and I will highlight that I definitely heard from the board last year. This used to be about a 4 or 5 page report. We do enough stuff that I could make it that long, but we tried to just pick the highlights for you so that I wasn't inundating you with information. But wanted to give you a sense of some of the things we're doing to impact. It was kind of nice hearing from the Children's Museum when they talk about the number of people they've reached, and to realize like I have probably my lowest one here is higher than that. Obviously we have more resources and staff to do that, but it was kind of nice to have a comparison for us. So I just wanted to see if you have any questions about the narrative or in the stats.
Anecdotally, what are you seeing just at Redmond for the children's story time? Like that's kind of an easy one to kind of visualize too. What are you guys seeing there?
That is a good question. That's fresh enough that I haven't really dug into that. So,
In terms of just attendance or that type of thing.
yeah, I don't know, Sarah, if you're still out there, I don't know if you have the information on that, or I could dig into
Yeah.
that.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm the library services manager. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So our Redmond story times have been getting anywhere from about 20 to 40 folks showing up. A really fun one that I think Tina has a picture of is there was one day when the room wasn't available, and so one of our librarians gathered the whole storytime crowd out to the early learning discovery space and set up there and did storytime in the discovery space, which I thought was really fun because other passing families who didn't realize it was storytime started joining in. So yeah, so far it hasn't quite reached the attendance levels that we had in the old building yet. But like Todd was saying, the disruption of closing the buildings, having different locations, I think we're just, as we get people accustomed to coming back in, we're going to see those numbers grow.
I will say, so I am a former children's librarian, and definitely what I always saw was you have to build those programs. And even seeing like taking time off for Christmas break, the attendance goes down and you can start building up again. And so that's one piece for that building to work on. I also say that while it'd be great to say we have 100 people coming, optimal story time is actually 20 to 40 kids. More than that, it's really difficult to do. So,
Agree.
so actually, for me, those are some pretty good numbers for people coming in.
But I will say, but overall attendance at the Redmond Library is normalized quite a bit, and it's right where we were in the building. In the old building, and it's increasing, so we're tracking that. At least for the first year it's open kind of daily and doing some comparisons, so yeah, very excited to see how those numbers are starting to climb up again, just overall.
And thank you, that's a good point to calibrate for you when we open the central library as well. It's hard to like open a building and have 30,000 people show up and feel like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like this forever. It does actually normalize a bit.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting when Redmond opened. It was like, we were wondering like, where will this really be? Because it's very tempting for our staff to be like, you have to hire 20 more people. And it's like, let's get through the next 2 months and then see where that lies. So.
We're averaging about, I would say, anywhere from like 700 to 720 people every day in Redmond coming in for attendance, which is really nice. It's really good.
You say 700
700 anywhere, it's more or less,
every day?
yeah. And when we first opened, we peaked out at, I think, at about 990.
Yeah.
When we first opened, so yeah.
Lynn, do you count
like bodies coming through the door, or do you?
That's what that is.
Okay.
And I would put a caveat on
Yeah.
that, is like, if you have a parent carrying a child, that's just one count, so you work, because, you know, the scanners can't get both of them, so, yeah. Or if two people enter at the same time, so. Grain of
If you
salt.
forget something, you go out to your car. and-
Yeah, exactly, grain of salt, there you go.
Get a
There's
double
that.
dip. One statistic that we used to keep, and I never did figure out how that was gathered, I don't know that it was completely scientific, was how long people stayed once they came to the library. And that would be a really interesting statistic on Redmond, old building versus new building, because I would bet money that people are staying much longer than they used to stay. But I don't have any.
Yeah, that's the toughie, because we've talked about that from time to time, but it starts kind of getting into a privacy confidentiality thing. Because
Right.
there is some technology out there where you can like heat scan and check things, but we just haven't felt the need to go that deep.
Yes.
Right, it's more of an intellectual curiosity of
Yeah,
how are
I know.
people using our buildings, and are
Oh,
they,
and as soon as we get that library chip instead of a library card, then we can do.
yeah, exactly.
And I believe in the past, one way we did that was self-reporting. We
We
would
did,
do
yeah.
periodic.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was
Answer
the fill
questions.
rate, the fill rate survey, that's what you're thinking about, Anne, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it is important to state for any record that's being taken, that was completely sarcastic. We do not plan as a board to put chips in.
No.
I just wanted to be said.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, thank you, Laura.
Yeah, it's important to clarify.
Yeah, and I think on this, to harken back to our Carver model and all of that, it's important to take a look at what Todd has listed here. As he said, as a lead up for when we do our priority setting later this year. We tell him basically as a board what we want to have the library system achieve. And then this report is based on his reasonable interpretation of what that means. So if what he's measuring or what he's reporting under these results policies doesn't jibe with what you understand the policy is all about, then that's a matter to bring up in when we discuss these, and to say, yeah, that was applicable, but you forgot about this whole other area that is also really important to achieving this goal. So, I mean, that's the kind of discussion, that's a really appropriate board level discussion to have, of, are we hitting the mark with this report? I think we keep refining it, and we get better and better at it every year. But yeah, it's something to think about for when we approach that work session, to say, I mean, obviously Todd's not being unreasonable with his interpretation, but are there other things you would like to see, or are there things that are listed that you think may not be as applicable as some other things when reporting on what we're trying to achieve?
No, yeah, well, that'd be great help for me too.
Thank you, Ann. I think that, all the places, Todd, where you've put some of these results into context is very helpful
Right.
for me. So some of the areas, like the, number one, the people have access to programs, events, and services, providing a comparison across the years, is helpful, always.
Mhm.
And then there are some areas like in point number 3, residents explore and discuss global and community issues. These are good examples, but I am curious, like, what does that mean though, participation wise? Is there some kind of intended outcome where we'd like to see, so there were some things I was like, I have a little bit of questions still.
Yeah.
But I think this is great, and thank you for taking the time to provide the context when you're able to.
I think, especially around the programming one is one that I cut out a lot of stuff. Because we do a lot of programs that tie into the results. And we try to, rather than list all of them,
Yeah.
just try to pick some of the big theme ones. But one thing I think would be really helpful for the board is to have our programming team, Liz, come in, because she keeps some amazing statistics on these, and it's really interesting. It'd just be fascinating for the board to see. It would give much.
Yeah.
And that's a tough part for some of these. Some of these are really one of our staff coming in and giving you a 40-minute presentation.
Right.
But that's when I would love for you. Matter of fact, we should look at getting you in here. I have time in November. Because that might help inform some of the discussions we're gonna have in December.
Can I ask a question? I feel like I should know the answer to this, but I don't. Do you have like a feedback system that you use in each of the branches from the people who visit the library?
Yeah, that is actually, I think that's one we discussed in August when we were talking about the
Yeah, we have.
treatment
we
of
have,
library
a
copies.
suggestion box for the old fashioned, you know, write it down. put it in.
Mhm.
We also have a link on our public webpage. We have a link in our catalog. Yeah.
Okay.
But as part of the programming,
Uh,
we keep some really good statistics. They do a lot of work.
Mhm.
Getting feedback from people that attend the programs.
Yeah.
You know,
Every program that we have, we have a survey for them to fill out. And we ask questions like, how would this program affect your life? Like, how would this better or not your life? And so we try to get some concrete ways that the program either made an impact and was effective or not.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of demographic information as well. And we also ask if people travel to this program, and if they did, where did they travel from? Because what we were seeing is a lot of people would actually travel from Sun River and Sisters into Bend. Bend people don't travel as much to locations, but the smaller areas definitely travel in. So, anyway, we can get you that survey too, just so that you see, but it happens at every program that we do. And we do about 450 programs, adult programs a year.
Yeah.
A question about circulation, do we, and again, maybe I should know the answer, I don't, but do we have any circulation partnerships with schools, public schools, that they can like alone request materials that they don't have in their own libraries for their youth and children's?
We don't at this time. We do have educator cards so that teachers can come in and check out materials for the school. We have curriculum crates that are very popular, and that where a teacher will come in and say they're doing a section on Egypt for that month, and they just grab this bin that has 30 books. And they don't have to go look for them all, they just grab them. So that's the biggest one we have right now. We had a program like that before we started shifting in these buildings, and we had to shut that down because we had too much going on. Our goal was to get through these buildings, get our automated systems in and start looking at ways that we can do that in the future.
Did that seem to have like a positive impact in terms of like circulation numbers? Was it worth the?
That was the real challenge. It wasn't that much. Really what we found, it was very popular for parents to have their kids return the books. Yeah, but it wasn't a huge number. Like, I'm trying to think of numbers, like at an elementary school, we might, you know, a good one might have 1,200.
It really also depended a lot on the media specialist that was
Yeah.
at the, you know, if you had a media specialist that was really gung ho and promoted it, then the numbers would be high, like Buckingham was great, but then you could go over to Juniper, and it was really low because maybe they didn't have a media specialist or not. So, as Todd said, it's something that we can look at in the future after we get all these things, kind of all the bugs and everything worked out, and we know what we're doing with our new systems. But it will need to be revisited in a different way. And the way that it was done, was not very efficient, I think, for us and the schools.
It was very labor intensive.
Yeah, very
and
labor intensive, yeah.
A lot of work, some good things came from it, where more partnerships with a lot of the media managers, where we tried to bring them in once a year and let them know about our resources to try to encourage that. But it kind of was hit and miss about which schools really supported that or which people were invested in it. But that's one we've been talking about is, I don't think we want to jump back to the same model, but we do want to look at ways that we can develop meaningful
A
partnerships.
relationship,
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit at our strategy session too. I'm just kind of looking at it from a like big picture outreach and you know, reaching as many kids in that circumstance as we could. Also looking at it from a cost benefit perspective and like what are our core competencies and focus, and then what can we filter out and you know, be those sprinkles on the icing on the cake too, because yeah, we had a little conversation about it too, because it's like my heart's like, yes, and then my head is like, we want to serve our libraries really well right now. Serve the people in our building and then continue that outreach as we go further out too.
Sure.
You know?
And
It's
one
a
area we've been
balancing
working
act.
on over,
Yeah.
one area we've been working on over the years is what makes something like that really successful is to be able to give kids automatic library cards. And that involves working with the school districts to basically allow us to access their information, the kids' information, so that we don't have to, the way we did it, we had to go hunt down each kid and have them bring something to a parent, have them bring it back. And that was very labor intensive. Other libraries in the country have had good partnerships with schools where they're able to do that. We've just never quite gotten there. Every time we get close, something happens, and then the last time we got close, COVID hit. But so that would be a really big one for us. And then I think a big challenge for us right now is with so much emphasis on book banning. Schools are a little skittish about partnering with libraries, and so that would be a hurdle for us to overcome as well.
And we also talked about just getting more kids and field trips into the libraries, and you already have a lot, but getting more of them and the potential for that kind of library card access at that point. So they're like exposed to this library and they can go home and be like, yeah, I want to go back there, you know, and kind of be the messenger too. So, yeah, cool.
There's a lot of aspects to it for sure.
Yeah.
Todd, one thing I did appreciate about your summary was the number of attendees or participants or items borrowed. I think as we reflect on our work session last month, and we talked about, you know, as we look forward and kind of transition into what things look like after the buildings are open, having some of that concrete data is really helpful.
And I should say, my philosophy on statistics is none of them tell you the story. I hope that together you start getting a sense through them. So each different statistic kind of gives you a little piece that kind of help get that picture together.
Right now, I mean, it's kind of like trying to get our footing in the middle of an earthquake. I mean, everything is changing so much each year that those comparisons are really challenging to make, but I really commend you in the report for, you did highlight some trends, and that type of information is super important to help us understand what direction things are going, and to at least have questions in our mind about what are the things behind those trends. And I know you guys are already thinking about it, but those are great discussions for us to have as a board as well, to find out what you're thinking and to imagine what that means in terms of serving the public. Well, does anybody have additional questions or comments for Todd, or are we ready for a motion on this?
Yes.
I will move that the library is in compliance with the results policies monitoring report.
I second that.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, and for our monitoring report today, it's financial planning and budgeting.
Great, this is my favorite monitoring report because it is the easiest one to do. Basically, you're asking, are we following proper budgeting? Are we making sure we have enough money? And are we not over committing funds? And so the first part is pretty easy. We go through the budget process together. We've done that. So all of that was addressed in the 25-26 budget. And then the second one is making sure we have the separation of funds, which we do, and that we talk about a lot in the budget process. And then the last one, make sure that that any fiscal year more funds that are conservative projected to be available in that period. And again, so all of these, we almost should be doing this at the budget time. But we address that in the budget, that the board has a policy to make sure that we carry forward at least 17% of our projected expenditures forward each year, and we are well above that, because that would be 3.7 million, and we carried forward 16.3 million. So we're in really good shape there. Well done. Yes, I'd say the bigger one comes in December when the audit report comes, and that's the real meat of looking at financial planning for you.
I moved that, oh. Sorry, Anne, are we looking for a motion?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
There's not a lot to say on this one, right?
No, I know. No, I do think it's really well covered, and we looked at the budget extensively, so I feel comfortable making a motion at this point, as long as everyone else does. That's okay. Then I move that the library is in compliance with the financial planning and budgeting monitoring report.
I will second.
We have a second, okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay, Todd, library news.
Okay, well, I'm gonna start with the bad and go to the good. Greg was talking about one piece of the building projects is getting stuff in on time before it happens. Probably the one area that I had no concerns about was getting books. We purchase all of our books through Baker and Taylor, who supplies libraries, has for years. If you've gone to a library conference, you'll see people walking around with their Baker and Taylor cat bags. Baker and Taylor just announced this week that they're going bankrupt.
Oh my God.
You're kidding.
Yes.
No.
They fired almost all their employees on Monday. And it's a shock. to us because they are the ones that we were gonna be using for our open day collection. We have already purchased about 2,000 items for the central library for them, and at this point, they're sitting in a warehouse somewhere that we don't know if we'll be able to pick up. And so the good news is we're on it and we're shipping it very quickly. But of all the things that I thought would be easy, it's huge, it's not that big a concern to us for the central library, because a lot of the central library is going to be filled with materials that are in the downtown building. But we opened the downtown library, it was going to be 100% opening day new books. So
Were
that-
those books already paid for?
no, we haven't even gotten close to that, we're just working on the central library. But it's
They could order them, they haven't been paid for, the ones that are sitting somewhere,
they are,
they haven't paid for.
yes, we're working on the possibility that we can pay to get a truck to go pick it up and bring it, but there's only 60 people left working there and it's hard to find.
That is just shocking.
It's a real shock.
Where's the warehouse?
It's in Indiana.
Yeah, so can Emily go to Indiana?
We-
For delivery.
So many people would totally rally behind this story and go get.
And it's not, we wouldn't have trouble getting them, we have to get into the warehouse to get them.
Movie.
It's just a very interesting and just one of those, we're like, okay, that was the last thing I was worried about.
So can I ask if you have to replace those books,
Mhm.
cause you can't get them?
Yeah.
What's that cost and does it have, how long does it take to replace a number of books like that?
We're already on that, we've actually taken a lot of the orders that we already had in place, we just flipped over to our other vendor, which is Ingram, and,
We're lucky to have a warehouse in Roseburg,
yeah.
but just everybody else in the United States is also going.
Yeah, I bet.
They have a pipeline about like this and they've got orders coming in like this,
Yeah.
so it's,
Yeah.
You said it was 2,000 titles?
Mhm.
Well, and then there's more though that of our, just our regular ordering that we do, there's about 3,000 orders, we haven't paid for them, but
Yeah.
those all have to be
Yeah.
switched over and processed, but yeah. and
Ebooks.
They providing all the prep work to be shelf ready, in addition, all the
Not yet.
stuff and.
Not yet. No, that Ingram just was in the middle of upgrading their software so that they could start doing that. And this happened, so they're like, they kind of dropped that so that they could respond to the
Whoa.
fire hose that's coming in.
Yes.
They hope to be able to do that by, they say Q1, so next January, February, March, I'm guessing March, probably April of next year. But it is a big pivot for our technical services department because they are not.
Yeah.
This is something they did not anticipate, so now they have to do all the processing, the labeling and everything. It
Oh
is
my
not-
gosh.
Oh,
Yeah,
so-
that's huge.
Just wanted to share our little surprise for the week.
Yeah, so,
No, thank you. That's amazing.
yeah,
I'd say I would be more nervous if we didn't have such an excellent
Yeah.
technical services team that I know will be able to. It'll be
yeah.
more work for them, but they'll shift and be able to do it, but it's just interesting.
It sounds like a good, I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
There's
One last year. The team is so great. One of the technical services specialists, she developed like within an hour or less, this amazing macro in Sierra. That she can like hit this button and it like it does all these labels, like 200 labels, all like in like 2 seconds.
Great.
Wow.
Yeah, Jenny's amazing. So yeah, so they're pivoting and it's, I think it's good for all of you though to know is we don't know if Ingram's gonna be able to supply orders at street ready dates. And sometimes our
Yeah.
customers can get a little cranky when it says it's being released on the 10th, then we don't get it until the 20th.
Yeah.
So I think that's gonna be, we're gonna find out.
And that is a little bit of
Yeah.
the scary piece for it because, they're basically now the really only game in town.
Yeah.
There's one other company that kind of can do it, but.
All it wrote our,
Yeah,
Do we not buy directly from publishers?
no, we don't.
no.
Is that a public library policy or what is that?
We get
That's
better
actually more publishers, don't.
Yeah, they don't like us to buy direct and then buy these warehouse vendors like Ingram and Baker Taylor, but Ingram, we get a pretty substantial discount when we buy the number that we purchase. We have better buying capacity.
Yeah, it's opposite in the private book selling world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which makes sense because we're
Yeah.
reselling it for them. so.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Fascinating.
Yeah. So then that also is, no, we really can't buy from Amazon.
Oh, sure. No,
Maybe
I
the
would
one-offs we
never
can.
mention
The
Amazon.
one-offs we can
Yeah.
perhaps, or maybe like Costco or something, but it is harder and it's just something just to be aware of in case there's some
Yeah.
new hot titles that are coming in and
Mhm.
James Patterson isn't on our shelves yet.
Yeah,
And also maybe the cost that we've allocated for a completely new collection at the downtown library might not be sufficient for what that's actually, I mean, it's kind of like a supply and demand
Oh.
situation where
yeah.
there's a lot of demand and there's only one supplier now.
Oh,
So
yeah,
they have, yeah,
I'm not quite as concerned about that.
really,
I'm assuming this is something that will
yeah,
even out in the next 6 months, but.
I
okay,
think right now it's everybody's in shock.
Yeah.
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 yeah, I
Yeah.
can understand.
Yeah.
You guys do such a good job of communicating with your, I love the banned books video today.
Oh, yeah, that was outstanding.
Yeah, so informative and entertaining all at once. But I'm sure you'll maybe consider using your avenues of communication to like have people manage their expectations a little bit on timely
Yeah,
delivery.
we talked about that, because I kind of explained it all.
Yeah. Yeah, funny video, that seems to be the answer.
Yeah.
Social media.
Flat ears.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, is Banned Books Week. That's why that video came out. I've given you each a hand. That's how we're branding it this year, is read what you want.
Mhm.
Love it.
Also, we're having it's now probably our 3rd or 4th annual Literary Ghost Walk on October 29th from 7 to 9 at the downtown library. If you want to see some dead authors, recommend coming by. You can even talk to them. It's always a fun event.
Is it kid friendly or no?
Yeah, there are, we have some ghosts in the kids area.
Okay.
The ghost aren't that scary, I'll tell you that.
Oh, it's good. K-pop Demon Hunters is popular right now, so I think kids tolerance is pretty high.
I
Okay, I
myself
was
have seen it.
mentioned on Saturday Night Live, I had no idea what that was, so.
We can chat after.
Okay.
Yeah, right, it's big, Todd, really big.
It's really good.
And then I was just out at the Central Library today, very exciting is things are rapidly changing, so every time you go out now, so we were just out there 2 weeks ago, now trees have been planted in the last 5 days, carpeting has gone down on the 3rd floor, it's, walls that weren't there when you walked through were there, so, just a lot happening very fast. They're gonna be paving the parking lot next week. So it's really fascinating. It's very slow work at the start, especially when they were doing all the work under the floors, and now it's really speeding up. That's my library news for you.
All right, well, that's some surprising news and some great news. Michelle, do you have any updates from the foundation?
Not a whole lot. Greg actually did his presentation to the foundation board last month, just in terms of like an update for all the library projects and the overall budget, and I think they were that he had presented like a year or two ago. But it's always a treat to get his presentation and really helpful. And I think that Chantal shared about the Ready to Read program that had been shared with us as well. And I think that the foundation is looking for ways that maybe they could fundraise to support that too. Which will be very fun. They're planning an event at the end of October, not the 29th and not the 31st. In relation to doing a little campaign to try to raise some funds for Ready to Read. So, yeah, but that's kind of it. Is there anything else?
The Fountains Board will tour the central library
Right.
next, is it next week?
The following
Or the
week.
following?
Yeah, I know.
Following week. That'll be fun. 'cause they
That'll
have-
be really great. They deserve to get a look at that for sure.
But they all.
That's wonderful.
That's it, yeah.
Okay, well, good of the order. Why don't we start with Aaron?
Yeah, I was able to attend my first formal makerspace class
Oh, good.
in Redmond, which was on the Cricut maker or the Cricut design and space software. And so they had an instructor come in and teach us all about the machine and the materials and the software, and a small group of participants, but really educational and helpful. And then we got to do the survey at the end. So I got to.
I wasn't making that up.
No, you were, yeah, I was like, I can still pull that up and read the questions off for you. So I thought that was really helpful to be a participant in one of those actual classes there, not just the drop-in session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I hope they do it again, because I would like to do that.
That was part of the feedback, like, can we break this into multiple sessions on just the equipment and just the software, just materials?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That's great. Okay, Betsy?
I'm gonna pass. I don't have anything to contribute this evening.
Okay, Laura?
I had the privilege of going to a conference in Eugene over the weekend for school librarians. And I attended a fabulous lecture on the laws that govern public libraries, including school libraries. And it was the highest yield lecture I attended. And it was taught by Emily O'Neill. And it took me a minute to place her, but I was like, wow, this woman is intelligent. She's such a good communicator. Wow, I'm learning so much from her. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's part of our DPL. This is so great. So I got to go and talk to her afterwards, and she was wonderful. It was funny that the first place we went was not actually in our library. So I think we just have great people working with our public library, and I'm very grateful that we have them. So good job keeping them.
Yeah. Yeah. I had like a little proud daughter moment. My dad was visiting, and he lives in Sarasota, Florida, and he's a huge part of like my loving to read. Like he's a voracious reader, checks out books all the time, like reads a couple books every week and always has. And so it's super fun to take him on a little tour of the Redmond Library and just, show him all the magical things that you guys have created there and are continuing to do. And so it was just fun to take a look at it from an outsider's perspective too. So very cool. Cool.
That's great. Yeah, I think we get inured to what we have, and then to talk to people who come from other places, they're just amazed, or new residents to the area who can't believe the services and all that our libraries have to offer. That's a wonderful thing. And I have not been out and about a whole lot the last few weeks since our last meeting. But I was able to check out magazines. I ran out of things I was struggling with some Libby checkouts since I was in Libby, and then I thought, I haven't checked out any magazines for a while, and just the breadth of magazines. And I believe that you do have to indicate if you want to check it out on a regular basis. It doesn't just do it automatically, but it was like once a month, this will show up in your in your Libby account. And it's just like, what a great resource. I mean, if people, that's one of those things where we've had it for quite a while and a lot of people don't know about it. And it's, I mean, just rafts of cooking magazines, rafts of common interest magazines. It's really, it's a wonderful part of our library. So that's all I have. All right, well, I think that brings our business to a close. And do you have anything else to add, Todd, about anything coming up that, or,
Just that, well, we're winding down services at East Bend, and just be aware, we'll still be open just about the time we meet next time. That'll be near its last day. But just highlight that I was out there for a few hours yesterday. It's very emotional for everybody that walks in the doors. They're kind of sad to see it go. A lot of them are excited to see becoming. It's highlighted in the source this week. I want to see that too.
And that Saturday, November 8th is our celebration of all the good that little engine that you
Yes.
did for the community. So we that.
yeah.
And that's from noon to 2, is that right?
It's noon to and Saturday.
That'd be great. If folks can make it, that would be great. Okay, so I think that's all we have. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much, everybody, and thanks for putting up with me on the screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye. Take care.
Bye all.
Bye, Greg.
Now everybody gets enough stickers back to school.